I'm Sean from Voices of Defiance, a podcast member of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready, because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Crimson Comet, a fan podcast about the TV show dedicated to the Scarlet Speedster himself, CW's The Flash. Welcome to episode 12 of Crimson Comet. This week we'll be discussing Justice League: The New Frontier. I'm your host, Haley, aka Awesome Engineering Girl.
And I'm John, aka Lobster.
And I'm Will, a.k.a. Rum Daddy.
If you'd like to leave us some feedback that could be included in a future episode, you can visit our website, crimsoncometpodcast.com, where you'll find all of our contact information. You can find us on Twitter, at Crimson Podcast, on Facebook, we're Crimson Comet Podcast, and you can leave us a voicemail by calling 423-FLASH-53. That's 423-352-7453. We also have forums available at forums.gonnageek.com, or you can search for GonnaGeek on the tapatalk app, and that's all one word.
Tapatalk.
Tap.
Tapatalk. Did you say forums or forums?
Forums. Forum.
Forums.
Forum.
I'm good with forums.
And you could also, if you wanted to, leave us an iTunes review, which is what Coach Monroe did this week, and
Coach
we really
Monroe.
appreciated that. Thank you.
Love the coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Put me on the team, Coach. Put me on the team.
Green Coach. All right. So,
What did Coach say?
He said nice stuff.
He did.
nice stuff. I don't have it up, but it was really nice.
Nice
Thank
things.
Well, just go to our iTunes review and read it.
you. Yeah. While you're leaving your review on iTunes, you can go ahead and read Coach's.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
So we've got some news to talk about, guys.
We
Yes,
sure
we
Some
do.
do.
big news.
I mean,
Let's
the
start with
biggest
the good
story.
news.
Yeah. Flash has been renewed for season 2. Officially.
Season 2.
Thus. I'm very excited.
Which I don't think any of us really doubted was going to happen, but
Eh.
now we know for sure.
The CW basically handed out renewals to all their shows.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great for them.
Yeah. Even Supernatural, which is getting really long in the tooth. It's season 11. I mean, season 10, you could tell that they're like, we have no idea what to write about anymore.
Right.
I know.
So I have no idea what the hell they're going to do with season 11.
They're going to go rescue that other brother from hell.
Yeah, I guess they're going to have to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I keep saying, I've said before that I love spending time with the Winchesters, but still, it's like season 11 and they're like, what, are we going to take this season like 23 or something? They're going to be grandparents. Their grandchildren are going to be hunters, you know.
It's the family business. Got to pass it on to the next generation.
As long as they want to keep making it, I say make them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this show single-handedly bought them several homes, you know, their college tuition for their kids. You know, they don't need to be, I'm an actor, I need to express and do different
Right.
things. Screw that, you know, your life is taken care of, you're fine.
Maybe they'll get Jeffrey Dean Morgan back, right? He could come back.
I always feel like he was on the show longer than he was, but he was really on there for the first season, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not even that much of the first season.
But he was a very important character.
Very important. And the CW picked up a Golden Globe Award in the recent ceremony.
I did
Best
not know that.
Actress, Jane the Virgin, which is a really good show.
Oh, you watch it?
Yeah, it's really good.
I've heard it was good. I don't watch it.
It's a bit of a guilty pleasure amidst all the comic book TV that I watch.
I bet you used to watch Gilmore Girls, too.
Gilmore Girls was so good.
Oh, yeah, I do. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good.
I think we all did.
It's pretty good.
Except for that one blonde guy. I didn't like him. Didn't care for him.
I only started watching it the last season and a half because somebody else turned me onto it and was like, you have to watch it. I was like, fine. I started watching. I'm like, oh, crap. Now I'm hooked.
I would say that Jane the Virgin is a little bit more in the Ugly Betty guilty pleasure category.
Well, yeah, that's because it used to be a telenovela.
And it's great. So good for CW shows. Speaking of, they might be adding another comic book show.
Which one would that be?
It's kind of an unexpected spinoff. They've been setting up Brandon Routh's character, Ray Palmer, as the Atom on Arrow. We know that's happening. And now there's actual talk of giving him his own spinoff show, which I don't think was the intent from the beginning, unlike how they introduced Barry Allen last season on the Arrow.
I think I remembered hearing that he was supposed to go over to the Arrow next season. Or to the Flash next season.
Well, they had talked about that, but now it seems to be that they're really interested in giving him his own series.
Well, we know that Brandon Routh looks really good in a superhero costume.
Right.
Yep.
So we know that part. But tell me a little bit about Atom or the Atom, because I don't know.
Well, I mean, he's not Ant-Man, but he's totally Ant-Man.
Well, and it's hard to say because we haven't seen him on the show yet. So there's different atoms and there's different ways that they could do the character. There's also this other thing called OMOC, the One-Man Army Corps. And that's another thing that they're drawing on with creating this version of Atom. So we're not sure exactly what it's going to look like. The only thing that we know is he talked about miniaturization. Now, it could be miniaturizing him, or it could be miniaturizing his weapons. So he could have this suit that has all these, like, tiny missiles and stuff in it.
See, I think there's going to be a lab accident.
If you miniaturize the gun, how do you get, like, your finger on that tiny little trigger? I mean, what good does it do?
No, regular trigger, tiny bullet.
Yeah, but it's like hitting somebody with a pin.
No, I think you miniaturize all the stuff so you can carry a ton of stuff, and then you just regular size whatever you want to use at that time.
Ooh,
okay.
Infinite ammo.
I think what's going to happen is a lab accident. Like, while he's trying to miniaturize something, he's going to accidentally miniaturize himself, and it's going to be Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
He's going to miniaturize his penis. He's going to have a micro penis.
Nope, he's going to miniaturize himself in the backyard, and then they're going to have to, like, set up all these slings and stuff so they don't accidentally step on him while they try and find him.
He'll be in the cereal with the Cheerio life preserver flopping around.
I've seen some pictures of Brandon Routh, and I don't know if you could miniaturize that. It's kind of impressive.
Well, he has to just to, wear normal pants.
That's true.
I think it's going to be like Iron Man. They're going to go for the Iron Man, Tony Stark vibe. And they've said that it's going to be a suit that he wears, but it's all practical. And it's not like in Iron Man where it's basically CGI, unless he's got like the helmet off or whatever, and then it looks weird. It's going to be an actual suit that he wears, and it's all going to be like practical effects, and the stuff that comes out of it is going to be practical. So I think it's going to look cool.
I bet it will. I mean, it's not like they've had anything really lame looking yet.
Right. And plus they can keep upgrading it like Atom 2.0 and gets new tricks.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit like Iron Man.
But I mean, so he's like a big star. Well, I think of Brandon Routh as a big star, even though, I mean, I think if you play Superman in a movie, that makes you a pretty big star. And I was a fan of his from when he was on Chuck. Right.
But then he did like a bunch of direct-to-video TV movie kind of things too. So it's like,
well, yeah, because after you play Superman, you kind of, it's like, well, where do you go from there? And so I think he had to kind of reinvent himself a little bit, and I think he's ready to strap on the tights again.
He played a cowboy on Will and Grace.
Did he? Nice.
Yeah. One episode of it was pretty funny. It was right after he had done Superman.
I think he was Justin Long's boyfriend in Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Was he? I don't remember.
I think you're right.
I've only seen that movie a couple times. I have seen that movie, though.
I believe that I am correct.
I think you might be correct. Okay.
It's a funny movie.
It is. Okay, so speaking of the Arrow...
Yeah.
They're planning to have more crossovers with The Flash.
Yay!
And right now it looks like the plan is to have it be an event every year and for it to happen in the fourth quarter. So around November is what we're looking at.
I just hope they don't start making it awkwardly shoehorned in.
Right.
Like, everything's going, it's progressing in a certain way, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is the episode that we have to shoehorn in the Flash or the Arrow into the Flash. So now let's make a really awkward reason for him to be here.
I don't think that's going to happen, though, because there's so much of the creative team that's shared between the shows, and they know it's coming so early on that they can plan for it.
Here's what I want them to do. This one was a brilliant publicity stunt. It brought in good ratings. Like, they advertised the hell out of it. We knew they were going to do a big crossover. I want them to do surprise crossovers, where they're not telling you ahead of time that you might see the Flash show up, but when it does, you're like, holy shit, it's the Flash! Oh my god! And he saves the day, and he just, shows up or whatever.
And he just leaves, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, that was so fun. And they don't necessarily have to make, a big event out of it, and, disrupt the entire arc of the season to do it.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be Arrow and the Flash. Well, we know it's not going to be Arrow, because he's dead. But allegedly. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a big scene between the two of them. It could be more Felicity going over to Central City, or Cisco going over to Starling and whatever, and crossovers between other characters.
I think that's probably something that's going to happen is, maybe we won't see the top build characters crossover every week, but somebody's talking to somebody or something like that. Maybe some more phone calls.
Oh, phone calls will be peppered throughout the whole series. They're going to tie those two together throughout. But they did learn from Marvel, which is good. Whereas if you're going to create two superhero shows, to keep them tied together so that they exist in the same world.
Mm.
Yeah. And another thing, to go back to the Atom, they said that when they brought in Ray Palmer, it was really with an idea of somebody to play off of Felicity. Because Felicity has kind of like been on her own, bringing the kind of zany humor a little bit that she does. Not zany, but just different than the rest of the people on Arrow. And they said that like they wrote Ray Palmer with the idea that he would kind of have that chemistry with her and also be able to kind of joke around in the fashion that she does. So it would be interesting to see like if they go that direction with the Atom show. So you've got the Arrow, who's kind of, serious. You've got Flash.
Everything on Arrow is so dark and serious, and everyone's... So that's why Felicity is so great.
It's why it contrasts so well with the Flash, too, is that it's a little bit more hopeful. And then if you can do the Atom show, it's just kind of like zany. Well, not zany, but, a little bit more of a humorous bent, if you will. And again, I think he's really going to be the Boy Scout. Like, when they bring him in, he's going to be like Captain America meets Iron Man, all about saving kitties and trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Helping old ladies.
Going to be a lot more like Barry than he is like Oliver.
Yeah, I think we made the Booster Gold comparison, right? Before?
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway. And so the other piece of news, speaking of crossovers, expanding the universe to CBS with the Supergirl series that's going forward. They've talked about actually blending those universes as well.
So CBS is going to allow crossover with CW shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, apparently it's written into Greg Berlanti's deal that Supergirl has to be allowed to cross over with the Flash or Arrow.
Yeah.
Good. It could only benefit both networks.
Right. And I believe we discussed this before, that CW is partly owned by CBS.
Right. In fact, I think they're more owned than not, because that's the first thing.
I think it's like 50% or something.
It's the first thing that Gina Rodriguez thanked when she got a Golden Globe. It was like, she's like, oh, I'd like to thank CBS. I'm like, what? Your show's on the CW. But again, I think the shows get produced by CBS and they air on CW or something like that. Okay, so crossovers between Supergirl, Arrow, and Flash.
I think it could be good.
And they've also said that Supergirl on the CBS is going to be a crime procedural, which, of course, if it's airing on CBS, it
has to
be a crime procedural.
Of course, it would have to be, so the old ladies could watch it and go, well, that's interesting.
It's going to be sandwiched between NCIS spinoffs.
Yes.
Well, if it's going to be Supergirl on CBS, it's going to have a letter acronym, because it's NCIS and SUV and all that other
CSI.
Just
CSI.
SPJL. It's fine.
SPJL. There you go.
I'll find it.
This article also mentions that they don't have any casting done for it yet, but that's not really news.
See, Haley, there's hope.
Yes.
You can go.
Put your name in the ring.
Put your name in the ring. Throw your hat in the ring. And
yeah, I mean, they've got to pick somebody, so I did a couple of plays in high school.
And, I do not look good in those tights. So.
Or will she wear a skirt? Because, hey, Supergirl.
True.
I would. You know what? Speaking of which, that would be really interesting to see what the outfit would be like, because when Supergirl was drawn, it was obviously very sexist, and times are a little bit different, but I wonder if they're going to put her in a skirt.
I mean, how will she know, when she goes to the bathroom, which door to go through if she doesn't have a skirt?
That's true.
That's what the little symbol.
Can you imagine flying over people while wearing a skirt?
I've done it. Do you guys remember the Supergirl movie that came out around the time that they were cranking out the Superman movies with Christopher Reeves?
No.
Vaguely.
There was it was actually, everybody was in it. And it was by the same producers as Superman. I actually even think Christopher Reeve made a cameo in it. And I'll have to look it up. So we'll keep talking, and then I'll look it up, and I'll spring in and go, and it was so-and-so and so-and-so, and I'll tell you all
It had Mia Farrow, Faye Dunaway, Peter O'Toole.
That's the one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the one. It had everybody in it.
It's got like a 7% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, it's a horrible, horrible movie.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of awesome casts, How about this movie's cast? Justice League: The New Frontier.
Yeah.
Dude,
crazy.
I freaked out when I started watching it when it first came on and the names started coming up. I'm like, John Hurd, Neil Patrick Harris, David Boreanaz, Miguel Ferrer. I'm like, holy shit, who's in this?
Lucy
So I had to go to
Lawless, Kira
IMDb.
Sedgwick, Brooke Shields.
Jeremy Sisto, Keith David, Joe Mantegna. And by
Okay,
the way,
Keith David. Come on. Goliath.
right? Well, he's got that booming voice.
Right.
So he was perfect for
Which
the
I was
center.
disappointed they didn't use enough of him. But,
Well, he narrated the movie,
well, like the beginning part of it.
and he was the voice at the very end when he was dying.
So, come on, Xena as
Oh,
Wonder Woman.
I was just thinking, like, if they'd done the Wonder Woman movie 10, 15 years ago, she would have
Yeah.
been perfect.
Just
Perfect.
yeah. And I love that they make her taller than Superman.
I know. She's like
she's an
buffer too, I
Amazon.
think.
Yeah.
Like,
She was also kind of a bitch, which is great.
well, she was also
Yep.
kind of right.
Yeah.
It was a crappy time.
I love how she just, it was Vietnam?
Korea.
She was just like,
Korea.
It was Korea. That's right, it was Korea. It's like, here are the guns. I'm not the one killing the guys, but I'm going to give you the guns so that you can do it.
I didn't
Yep.
commit murder. I just facilitated.
Actually, you know what? It might have been Vietnam because they said Indochina.
But it was
think-
it was Korea because that's when
Yeah.
Jordan's plane went down.
Yeah.
Was quite the cast on this.
Yeah.
Quite the cast on this movie. Which a completely different cast from the other Justice League movie
Right.
that we watched.
Completely
which was also
unrelated
well-cast.
to the other one.
It was drawn very different. This because it was more classic,
Mhm.
and
Right.
even though it was produced later on, the drawings were much more two-dimensional.
Right. I mean, this movie was released in 2008, but the style of the art is very reminiscent of the 50s.
Exactly.
But it didn't look that far afield from, say, Batman the Animated Series. Like, I think
Right.
it took those kind of influences from that show and kind of went with it. But I loved the retro feel of it. Absolutely loved it. This and the last Justice League movie we watched was really good, but this was, I think, even better.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. But the retro feel was great, all the way down to the uniforms. Like Superman had that crappy little S,
Yep.
Mhm.
and
Yeah, everything matched period-wise.
Right. And everyone's
with what the
costumes were
characters were wearing.
simpler, and they
Yeah.
weren't as buff as we
Although
usually see them now.
Flash had the costume ring. His costume popped right out of his ring.
Ah,
That was great.
I can't wait for them to do that in the show. For him to get to do it.
at the very end, and I'm going to jump forward because I'm going to forget about this. At the very end, when you hear Kennedy's voice, and then the animation camera, whatever you want to call it, goes over like a shot of all the villains' faces, and then
Yes.
there was another one where it went over a shot of all the companions, like Robin was there, and other superhero
The
companions.
Teen Titans. That was showing the Teen Titans.
Was that okay? Because one of them was the Reverse Flash.
No, there was Kid Flash in that scene.
And does Kid Flash wear a yellow suit?
Yes.
Okay.
And you also saw Speedy or Arsenal or whatever.
Right.
Red Arrow.
They were showing the next generation of heroes.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I saw Red Arrow, and I saw Robin, and then I saw the Flash, but wearing a yellow suit. And I was like, "Why is the Reverse Flash
But
in there?"
he had his hair kind of sticking out the top, right?
I think so, probably.
Yeah. That's Kid Flash.
Okay.
So did
I
a
get
lot of
confused
the
easily.
anti-superhero stuff in this one really remind you guys of Watchmen?
Oh, I kept thinking that the whole time. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, it's Watchmen. Which Watchmen came out, I think, it might have
In the
been in
80s.
production, but the comic book came out in the 80s, yeah. So there was certainly some influence there, but the movie was coming out around this time too. I think it came out in 2000,
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
2009, maybe.
Now,
But anyway, yeah. So it's very influenced by Watchmen.
I
But
didn't
if
like
you go
Watchmen.
back and look in that montage that you're talking about at the end, you see the Justice League fighting that creature that looked like a giant starfish,
Right.
and that's who they fight in the first issue of Justice League of America, JLA.
That's cool.
Oh, okay.
So,
It's all
but
connected.
there was a Justice Society of America that existed kind of in the Golden Age, and then split up and then reformed as the Justice League.
Right.
You know, John, I'm so glad you're on this podcast to keep everything straight for us, because I'm the one who I'm like, I don't know, you telling me I'm just enjoying myself.
Well, give me like 20 years and I'll be an expert.
I'm not by any means an expert. I just have like a vague base understanding of how I think everything works. And I could be wrong. There might be some details that I'm getting wrong.
But you explain everything very well for idiots like me who have to ask you questions all the time, like, why was a Reverse Flash hanging out with everybody else? So, and you explained it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And Captain Cold looks like a nerd, which I love.
Absolutely. Captain Cold was so stupid.
And so far he's been in both of these too, as like the classic Flash villain, and Gorilla Grodd, or almost not, but not really.
Right.
But
I screamed out loud when I saw Gorilla Grodd.
Grodd! I can only write Grodd's name in all caps. Like, I can't write it lowercase.
I can see why. You know what? I just realized I did the exact same thing.
And we both used 3 exclamation points. Good job.
Oh, look at that.
All right, and while we're talking about the Flash, hey, does Iris look a little bit different to you guys?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There was something different. She looked pale.
She had her hair different.
Yeah, it was different in this one, too. It was like brown in this one, and the last one it was red. Yeah. And then it's like a darker color in the TV show. That's probably what it is.
It changes. Yeah, that's probably it.
But in this one, hey, the Flash, played by Mr. Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, yeah, he's in this, too.
Legend. Wait for it. Derry. Hosting the Oscars coming up.
That man is just hosting everything. I mean, he could host dinner at my house, you know?
He could. I would love that. Let's do it. Let's book him.
NPH, come on over. Please host dinner at my house and greet everyone as they come in the door. Not a problem. Little soft shoe song and dance number will all break out. Perfect choreography right behind him.
Sure. And it was good casting. I was like, I'm not sure, but it worked.
Yeah.
I was just like, Kira Sedgwick as Lois Lane, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's
she's the fucking closer, man. Come on.
She's great. She's awesome. She's Kevin, what's his name? Kevin
Bacon.
6 Degrees.
Bacon.
Bacon. Thank you. I keep wanting to say Kevin Spacey.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
No, she's Kevin Bacon's wife.
Right.
Yep.
No, she's Deputy Chief Brenda Lee Johnson.
Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
And Jeremy Sisto from 6 Feet Under and a bunch of other things.
As Batman.
You know, I've seen him naked. I did. I went to see him in a play. Here in L.A., and it's called, God, what was it called? I can't remember, but it's about a bunch of baseball players, and they do this entire scene in the shower. On stage, in the shower. Water's going down on them, like through a grate on the floor.
I understand how a shower works.
Art?
And they're just doing the art, and they're just doing the whole scene there completely naked, full frontal, and I'm like, okay, all right. You're comfortable. All right. We're all comfortable. And we'll move on.
All right. And I think the biggest get that they had for this is they got John F. Kennedy out of retirement to do the closing narration, guys. Come on.
I know. I think this was his voice acting debut.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he'd done a movie before like this.
I don't think so either.
I love that they credited
Well, no, he did
him.
Forrest Gump.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But an animated film.
Yeah.
Which that was Orson Welles' final role, right? He was the
what, in Gump?
In Transformers. He did a Transformers the movie.
Oh, that's
he did
not
a voiceover role.
right.
It's true though.
That's disappointing.
I hate the Transformers movies.
It's because they're terrible.
They're horrible. I'm sorry. I know people out there are really big fans.
No, we're talking about the animated one from the 80s, not the Michael Bay crap.
Oh, that's much better then.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, okay, now you're right. Now you're absolutely right. Now that I think about it. He did voice the animated movies from the 80s.
Yep.
All right. So Hal Jordan constantly was referring to what a horrible time he had in Korea. And every time, it kept popping up. He kept saying it to me, and I kept thinking he was like the pilot in Airplane who complains about. It's always like Macho Grande.
Yep.
Did you see Haley? Have you seen Airplane?
No, of course I haven't.
God,
of course not.
Are you kidding?
That's all right.
All right. So in Airplane, one of the running gags is that he's always doing flashbacks. So he'll sit down next to somebody else on the plane. And then they'll go into a flashback as he talks about how in love with Elaine he was. And when they come out of the flashback, whoever he's telling the story to is trying to kill themselves. So every time Hal Jordan went into Korea, I was like, I'm going to kill myself.
Well, to be fair, he had a rough time. He had to shoot a guy in the face. Well, okay, first off, I'm sorry. If you jump out of an airplane and simultaneously drop kick someone in the face while landing,
That's good aim.
that's a good time. That's a good time in my book. But yes, he had it pretty rough. And I think he had some PTSD there. But, okay, so this was like a dual origin story, right? He had the origin story for Green Lantern,
right.
At least the Hal Jordan Green Lantern, and for Martian Manhunter, John Jones.
Right.
And Martian Manhunter, it took me a while to realize that it was Martian Manhunter.
Who is cool, by the way.
Yeah. I loved when he turned into Bugs Bunny. I'm like, so meta.
Well, what I was thinking about, too, is like, if he's watching TV in black and white and turns into one of the characters, is he also in black and white?
He was when he was Bugs. And when was he in black and white when he was the Indian at the sign-off at the end?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. That's what made me. I'm like, I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's afraid of fire.
He is.
Yeah, what is that? Somebody explain that to me, please.
He's from Mars, okay? They're weird.
Yes.
Martians, they're weird.
You know what they say about
That's
Martians.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Men are from Mars.
Okay. But I'm not afraid of fire.
You should be. It's like hot and burny.
Yeah.
It's Bernie.
It's Bernie.
He's dead. No one knows
things toasty. Yeah, anyway.
But then Batman's like, I have a $70,000 sliver of meteor to stop the one from Metropolis. With you, all I need is a penny for a book of matches.
I love it.
Ice cold.
So, and this is a Justice League who, they're not big fans of each other when this kind of starts out.
But Superman and Wonder Woman are besties.
Well, they were.
Right.
And then they kind of have a falling out.
But then at the end, he's like, my best friend's in there.
Yeah. And then it's all caught up in the whole McCarthyism and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, McCarthyism. Is it me or did the whole Wonder Woman storyline have kind of like, because there was never any inkling of a romantic entanglement with Superman because he was obviously in love with Lois Lane.
Right.
And she was hanging out with the girls, Amazons,
like you do.
Yep. So what was the question?
Well, like,
oh no, I was going to say, which I mean, there was a little bit of like a lesbian undertone with Wonder Woman, but I think there always is in a lot of the stories. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah, it would absolutely make sense. She comes from the.
Do you know, Lobster, if they've ever explored that?
I don't. I'm actually, that's one blank space in my knowledge. But I will say that the whole, she was, the girl tried to kill her to get the advantage, to take the throne from her. I think that's something that generally is a storyline they've revisited in the comics.
Well, anyone in a comic book who is a monarch is constantly defending their throne. Constantly.
Right. Not necessarily in a comic book. In real life, any monarch is constantly defending them.
I'm just saying, in comics, it's like every year Submariner is getting deposed by one of his warlords.
By Aquaman, and then he takes it back, and then Aquaman.
Well, I always thought there was something going on between Submariner and Aquaman, personally.
There probably is. Okay, Aquaman misses the whole fight and then shows up at the end for the party.
The whole thing shows up.
I know, right?
When the thing came out of the damn ocean, like, doy.
Even when he saves Superman, he's lame.
He's like, I'm Arthur, and I saved this one.
Yeah.
Who just fell in the water.
By the way, were either of you guys, I don't want to say thrown off, but a little surprised at how brutal this was from the very beginning?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, as soon as he shot that guy in the face, I was like, oh, this one is also not for kids.
Yeah, well, no, the very opening credits where the VO is going, and then he finishes writing the book, puts down the pen, picks up the gun, turns it to himself, and shoots it.
Boom! He, turns it towards the camera because it's his POV.
Right.
Boom!
And then Wonder Woman landing with all the blood all over the inside of her cockpit.
Yep. That was cool. I was like, what's that red stuff on the inside of the invisible jet? Oh, it's her blood.
It might not be all her blood.
When Superman uses his heat vision to just, slice through all the dinosaurs, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
And then the guy, Faraday, gets eaten, takes the 2 grenades, blows the dinosaur's head off.
That was awesome.
So yeah, this is a pretty brutal movie.
Yeah, definitely not for kids.
Well, that one guy they brought in to interrogate, he murdered his mother and had her body in his car. Did you catch
Right?
that?
Yep.
Yeah, I had her in the trunk of the car.
Yep.
He stuffed his mother's body in the trunk.
Where else are you going to put it?
That's a little Norman Bates-ish.
Sometimes it's just, you gotta have a big trunk.
So you can put some junk in that trunk.
Norman, let me out of the trunk! Norman! See, another movie that completely goes over Haley's head because she never saw Psycho.
Right. I haven't seen it. I mean, no surprises.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay. Oh, Haley, we love you.
So, Flash, the government tries to capture Flash when he's facing down Grodd,
Yes.
and he phases through the net.
He does.
Yeah. Now, why was the government trying to capture him?
Because they're dicks.
Because it's Watchmen.
Yeah, because it's Watchmen. You're right.
Superhero
He probably didn't do the
registration.
loyalty oath.
Oh, and how do you like the when Hal goes and meets not Faraday's daughter, but the
Ferris.
chick in charge? Yeah, Ferris.
Carol Ferris.
Carol Ferris. And
Voiced
she's-
by Brooke Shields.
And he's like, how
Right.
you doing?
Right?
I'm not your employee for another 2 weeks. You know what we could do.
You smooth bastard.
And she's like, that'll be 2 drinks.
Good stuff. Good
Yep.
stuff.
Digging on it.
They really took their time with the whole Green Lantern origin
Right?
there. And kind of shoehorned it in at the end.
They're like, oh
But-
crap, movie's over. We gotta put him in a green suit.
Was still a better movie than the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
Which I still haven't seen.
Ryan Reynolds is... Oh, it's...
Yeah.
The first half hour is okay, and then it just falls apart. But Ryan Reynolds is coming back as Deadpool?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I love that we're now in the phase of like superhero recasting, where we have people who have played superheroes before being recast as new superheroes.
But he played Deadpool before.
Yeah, but that was
In
in the
the
movie that
Wolverine
never
movie.
happened.
Yes-ish. He played Deadpool in name only in that one.
Yeah.
Right, but he was the best thing in that movie because everything else about it sucked.
Right.
But seriously, that movie never happened. Like,
no, they
ever.
they retconned it. Yeah, the last X-Men retconned it. So, but like Chris Evans, Human Torch, now Captain America, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, then Green Lantern, now Deadpool again. Superman, Brandon Routh is going to be the Atom. Like we're in post superhero recasting now.
Postmodernism superhero.
Yeah. Exactly.
But Ryan Reynolds was, I mean, he was able to fit the suit before, but is he getting a little old to be playing that role now?
Well, the thing about Deadpool is under his mask he's hideous.
Yeah.
So
He's like all
he doesn't-
he's like all
Yeah.
burnt and scarred and stuff. He doesn't really
Well,
have a
he
face
has
anymore.
his healing power is he can basically heal from anything. He has the same healing factor that Wolverine has, except his has like basically made his entire body look like a tumor. So
That's gross.
Yep.
That's why he always has the mask on. And when he takes it off, he's like disgusting looking. So if they do a Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool,
One of the most
you
attractive
won't
people
see-
on the planet playing a human
won't see
scab.
his face. Yeah. It's kind of like the whole Carl Urban as Dredd thing. Like the awesome thing about that movie was he never took off the mask because Dredd never takes off his mask, his helmet. So,
Unless he's Sylvester Stallone.
right, which is stupid. But, so you cast somebody who is pretty good looking and basically they're never going to show their face.
Well, I mean, I think one of the reasons Ryan Reynolds is cast is because he's great with his. I mean, his delivery is perfect. He's got great smart-ass delivery. So,
And there's a proof of concept trailer out there for the Deadpool movie.
Is it still
Which
out
is
there?
just
Because it kept
fantastic.
getting pulled and then re-released and then
Oh,
pulled.
did it?
I don't
yeah.
know if it's still out
It
there or
was
not.
if you can see it, it's pretty good. Oh, and the other one that I'm forgetting, of course, is Ben Affleck. Daredevil now is Batman. So this is like 3 or 4 superheroes that have been cast as new other superheroes.
well, when you work in a genre, you stick to the genre.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, how many actors work in sci-fi that keep working in sci-fi? What's his name? It's on
Or
Supernatural now.
Directing, like you direct Star Trek, and then you're going to direct Star Wars too.
Or
Yeah.
that could happen.
Yeah.
Or you direct Star Trek because you love Star Wars, so you make your first Star Trek movie look a lot like Star Wars.
And then that's how you get the job on
And then
Star
you
Wars.
get hired to.
And then you
Right.
get the job in Star Wars, and then you go, I don't need to do any more Star Trek anymore.
Let somebody else do it.
That's right. So, what else do we love from this? Because I feel like there's a lot to love. I will say that the whole setup with the cult thing The first, 45 minutes of this are pretty dull.
Yeah, I felt like the villain
When
was the
it's-
weakest part of this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which
I
the
actually
villain
watched
is
the movie and fell asleep.
I think it would have been more interesting if one of the heroes actually did succumb to the mind control influence
So
of
they had to
the
fight
center.
a hero.
Yeah, so it was he took over Superman and they had to fight Superman, or he took over Batman, they had to fight Batman.
Or if he took
Not that
over
I
a
think-
bunch of the soldiers or something and they had a fight with the government.
Right. That would have been better than just fighting dinosaurs, but hey, dinosaurs are cool.
But you can kill a lot of monsters and not feel bad about it.
Yeah, I guess so. Except they're extinct, and then you kind of do feel bad.
Those dinosaurs were really terribly drawn. I'm sorry. I was just like, they look dumb.
Was that where they came from? Because at the beginning, is this where they came from? Because at the beginning you saw, the dinosaurs killed by the meteor and, sinking down into the earth. Did the center then absorb them and, clone them so he could, spit out dinosaur clones?
I think that was, the hand-wavy bit of the movie. The center has dinosaurs, it doesn't matter how. He just has them.
I suppose.
And we never found out where the center came from.
It came from...
He was the thing
Another
on this
world.
planet before humans were here.
Yes.
It was
No,
in the
but
beginning.
he came from another planet. He came from another planet.
And also, at the end, did they do the Fifth Element thing where now we have a new moon?
Did they?
No.
When they blow it up, did it then turn into the moon, or did it blow up and then just the moon was behind
No,
it?
I think it just blew
the
up.
moon was behind it, blew up. But he came from another planet because he was part of the meteor he was in the meteor that struck the Earth.
Was he? Oh, I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know, I have to see it again. I saw it twice already because I fell
Yeah.
asleep the first time.
I just think that whole aspect was probably the weakest part
Yeah.
of the thing. They could have just done a really good movie with the whole superhero versus the government thing.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. Because it was the most interesting parts of this movie.
Oh, and then the other thing that was interesting is, hey, Hal Jordan needs to get his ass to Mars. Do you understand that reference?
No.
That's a Total Recall reference. Get your ass to Mars.
I have seen Total Recall, I just didn't remember the quote.
Oh.
It's been so long since
I have
I've seen
seen that
Total
one.
Recall.
All right. When the Flash is standing in front of the TV camera and he says good night and good luck.
Yeah,
that I
was
knew.
from... Yeah.
Okay, you understood that
Yes,
reference.
I understood that reference.
All right. But anyway, so Hal Jordan needs to get his ass to Mars. They go on this long thing where they're going to fly to Mars.
And then as
Except
soon as they
they're-
take off,
Yeah, everything goes wrong, but the thing's loaded with weapons.
of course it is. Because of
They're
course
going
it
to try
is.
to start a war with Mars.
We're going to visit a new planet for the first time and blow it up.
Blow it up.
Isn't that what we as humans did every time we
Yes.
visited a new country?
They blew it up.
Which, I mean, let's this is set in the 50s. We haven't even landed on the fucking moon yet. We're gonna go to Mars and blow it up. What the fuck?
You know why? Because in the 50s, red equals communism, and Mars is red, and you
Red-
can't
red
trust those
planet, yeah.
red planet. You can't trust those commies, and they said so in the film.
But while we were focused on Mars, the Nazis were on the moon.
There you go. Well, I mean, he even said one of the guys watching the TV was like, "And why does the Flash run around in that red suit? Because red stands for commies."
Red's a commie color.
Yeah, red's a commie color.
Well, the Flash is just a guy that runs after jewelry thieves and talking gorillas.
Oh, and the other thing. 6 bombs hidden around the city.
Right? Except there weren't.
There were 5, which, do you remember when we talked about that episode?
Right?
And I said, wouldn't it be a good mindfuck to tell him that there were 6 bombs instead of 5? Because then he'd spend all the time looking for the 6th one.
And not have time to disarm the other 5. Yep.
Yeah.
Called
That
it.
was brilliant.
And then he rewired his gun on the way down.
Yeah.
Ah, sucker.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, so at the very end, Martian Manhunter turns into the form that we're a little more used to seeing him as. But real men wear pants.
Real men wear pants.
Exactly.
It was good.
And then there was the whole acid trip where Hal and his pal are going through on their little spaceship thingies.
All right, that was stupid. And the inside of the thing was like fucking V'ger from Star Trek the Motion Picture. So, stupid.
Yep.
And you're in there and you're tripping out.
I thought the same thing. As soon as I go into it, I'm like, this is V'ger. This is exactly when Spock went through looking for... Yeah.
And then it rains blood on you, and then you have to
they
use your power ring.
their bodies morph and change and stuff, but it's all in their heads.
It's all in their heads, man.
Mm-hmm.
At least he had his power ring.
Yeah.
Which with absolutely no training.
Right.
He just
magic rings should really come with user manuals.
Right. Which, if anything, that was maybe my favorite part of the Green Lantern movie, which was just him trying to figure out how to use it. She's like, okay, you touch the ring to the lantern and say the oath. Oh yeah, the oath. Sure, everybody knows the oath.
Yeah, well, they were running out of time.
It was when he had to leave Earth that movie got really bad.
No, see, I liked that. When he was being trained by the other Green Lanterns, it was the coming back to Earth where, what's his name? Oh shit. What the hell's that guy's name? Skarsgård. Peter Sarsgaard. Peter Sarsgaard is like turning into like the big forehead dude. Well, he's already a big forehead dude, but he's like getting a bigger forehead.
Yeah.
That was stupid. And the cloud. I hate it when the villain in the movie is a cloud.
Once
like
again, Star Trek the motion picture.
That and Rise of the Silver Surfer making Galactus into a stupid cloud. Ugh.
No, Galactus is like a really big dude who eats planets.
I know, but in the movie they didn't do it.
Well, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, okay.
I've seen the first one.
Rise
I just haven't seen the
Silver
second
Surfer.
one. Yeah.
Spoilers. Ending stupid.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I heard. I kind of heard that about most of the movie.
Yeah. Most of the movie's stupid. The Silver Surfer is cool.
Right.
But most of the movie
but the Silver Surfer is basically the T-1000 from Terminator.
I don't know. Any type of telekinetically controlled surfboard is cool.
Yeah, but the look of it was the exact... Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
The look was the T-1000.
Yes. Yes, it was.
I kept expecting his arms to turn into giant, like, swords.
Knives and stabbing weapons.
Yeah, knives and stabbing weapons, nothing complicated.
No moving parts.
Mm.
Get your ass to Mars.
So, I got a question.
Yes.
What did we learn?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
This was a bye week on our learning ladder.
John's still on
Yes.
holiday. He's not ready to be back in school mode yet.
I'm still on break. I refuse to take any lessons from this.
We're still on holiday. I mean, I am so on holiday. I'm like catching every other topic you guys are talking about going, wait a minute, what? What was that?
Huh? You what now?
I promise to everyone we will be so much better next week. We'll be on our game next week.
I learned, and you guys will get this because when I write my notes in our show notes, I write in red for lobster.
Right.
I learned that red is a commie color.
Yes, it is.
I learned that if I'm going to morph into something, always remember to morph on some bicycle shorts.
Well, I learned that the invisible jet is much less invisible when it's smeared in blood.
Ugh. Or if you get air sick and like just throw up in the cockpit. And then it's just everywhere.
Guys, last week I was on vacation, as you guys know. A friend of mine was incredibly generous, and she flew me with her and her sister to Hawaii, because her parents have a timeshare in Hawaii. So we got to stay there for free. But I went scuba diving, and there was only about 5 of us, and one of the guys on the boat got really seasick and was just chucking over the side of the boat.
He would just chum in the water for you guys.
Totally. Oh. I could hear, like, I had to, like, move away. It was that classic sound. It could have been from a movie. It was, and then you hear it hit the water, splash.
Oh. That's the worst.
It was awesome. But I got to swim with turtles. That was fun.
Don't puke in your invisible jet, guys. It's
No.
not cool.
Yeah.
No.
Just keep all fluids inside. Where they belong.
Are you saying no sex on the invisible jet?
All I'm saying is it's then you know you don't need a black light to find out what's been going on.
If we had a black light, this thing would look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Yep. Oh boy.
It's white and streaking across the sky.
Okay, this has been Crimson Comet episode 12. Join us next week as we discuss The Flash season 1 episode 10, Revenge of the Rogues. Until then, I'm Haley.
I'm Lobster.
And I'm Rum Daddy.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, you can find all of our contact information at crimsoncometpodcast.com. Find us on Twitter at Crimson Podcast or Facebook at facebook.com/Crimson Comet Podcast. Leave us a voicemail at 423-53. That's 423-352-7453. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent GonnaGeek. The podcast is not affiliated with DC Comics, Warner Brothers, or the CW. No infringement is intended. The music heard is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.
So his character is Adam, huh?
Yeah.
The Atom.
The Atom. Not to be confused with Adam Ant.
Not to be confused with Ant-Man.
Or Captain Atom.
So what does the Atom do? What's his superpower?
He's Ant-Man.
Look, he's... Yeah.
Ooh, I got a new car.
Here we go. Nope, shut up, don't care.